Hi, welcome to last part of Rohan's journey. Here you will get to know how to build a strong business both from an economic and team culture standpoint.
And how does the economics work? Like different stakeholder, how does the money flow happen here? And how does
So
your business make money?
again, monetization was also a journey, if I'm being honest with you. From July of last year, we started doing our monetization experiments. In the start, we thought that, the best platform would be the one in which you would just go, you didn't have to pay anything, and it would be just commissions based, right? 5% of commission we take. What I realized doing that was that the only people who wanted to share revenues were the ones who had no revenues. So the people who were making money, they were looking for serious software players who are not looking to charge on their revenue, but rather providing software tools to them and charging them like a software tool, right? So as of right now, we charge about 25,000 rupees plus GST for the entire year. It is more expensive than the market, but we take no part of your revenues. And the way I justify this to anybody is that, when you are earning 50,000 bucks and you're paying 2,500 in commissions, you are somewhere okay with it. You're like, "theek hai, chalo, if it's happening, if it's happening." But when you imagine yourself earning 5 lakh rupees, right, you immediately think that, "oh, damn, I'll have to shift out." Right? You imagine immediately start thinking that. So I said that I want Kobe to be a part of your dream, right? I want to be a part of your dream. I don't want to be somebody who's sucking your soul when you're growing successful. And just on that pitch, we've converted a lot of top creators of our competitors to start using Kobe. Like, I think this month we've had of I think 70 to 80% people who've shifted to Kobe have come from one platform or the other. And that is usually the pitch to us that, you know what, we're going to give you a kick-ass software and we're going to charge you for it like a software should. uh, right? Like we would treat you like companies, right? Nobody goes and sells to Microsoft and says that, "hey, I'll take 5% of whatever you make on Microsoft Office," right? Nobody says that. So I think that's the kind of respect that we give to our creators. So we make money like this. We've got some sales and marketing costs, which is about 40% of our pricing. We are trying to reduce it down, bring it somewhere close to 20%. And on top of it, we spent some money into just doing operations, right, for you. We've understood that it's better to charge higher and give service than it is to charge lower and not give service.
True. So what are the kind of like revenue looks like in your kind of business currently? So that like if somebody wants to start, well, like see how does the business make money? How much can it actually make money in, let's say your stage? Can you share some kind of traction numbers or revenue numbers with our listeners?
So by the end of this year, we are going to touch about 1 million ARR. So basically, we'll be doing about 66 lakhs per month. And we are on track to
So
achieve that. And we charge all the money upfront. So that is also, I think, one of my learnings. Like I've kind of studied SaaS business models strongly. And you might think that, hey, and I get this advice from investors and people are like all the time that, "hey, why don't you introduce a monthly plan? You would probably be able to charge more in the long term and etc. etc." But in our opinion, like even this data also proves that people who charge annual upfront do better because they're able to reinvest that money and really grow out their business. Also, if you charge all of it upfront and you've taken a significant amount of money, the activation is much higher, right? The guy will start using your software fast. Like we've sold our software for 5,000 rupees also. And we've seen terrible activation rates. Like people will just throw 5,000 rupees at you and you'll be like, "oh, great, I've got a customer." No, you don't. He's not renewing next year. So that has been our learning, that we charge the right amount. We don't try to undercut the market, and we rely largely on referrals. So referrals is our strongest area right now. We don't spend in marketing. We run our own newsletters. Like I write the newsletter myself, talk about the creator economy. We have people who refer us to their friends because of our clear payment structures and the ops, very important part, the service component of it. That, if somebody gets stuck, we have charged you enough money to help you out with a small ops team and yet continue to make money. So that is basically where our play is at.
Yeah, it's really important learning for our listeners as well, right? When you're pricing your product, don't keep it super thin margin, or else like it's not sustainable at all, right? And then you will cut on the off side, on the support side, and that will end up creating a bad reputation for yourself, right? And then you can't charge. So that's a big learning. So how did your team size grow along your journey in the traction that you got, and what are the kind of processes that you think you had and you had to change as you grow bigger and bigger?
So between 0 to 5, 5 to 15, and 15 to 20, I've seen certain changes happening. Sorry. I think this is the first time in my life when we actually have dedicated teams for everything. This did not happen earlier. I think when we started, the first guy that we hired was a front-end developer, right, straight out of college. He helped us write a lot of initial code. So Shashwat is the kind of person who believes in putting out the product very fast in front of the customer, even if it is glitchy, and not try to perfect it. I think that has been the biggest strength from a product perspective of Kobe, that we've had a co-founder who's not technical in the sense that, hey, let's build microservices first and later we imagine what the front end looks like, right? Because in my earlier startup, in the drone startup in which we used to work for business to government, we had this really big problem that we try to build for scale from the get go, right? And both time and money is really precious in the early days. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes, so you might as well make them with a bad UI and correct it later. So that's been one of the key things. Later, as we scaled up, we earlier scaled up product team in which we had about 3 engineers, but the fourth guy we hired was a designer. I think that is something that if you have any of the listeners who've just kind of started doing it, I think the designer really changed things. Because before he came in, we would be like, okay, we need to build this, and the engineers are discussing maybe this looks better, that looks better, and it's just a waste of everybody's time because after 3 years, whatever they've made is not good anyways. And he came in and he would start asking questions like, so what do we want the user to think? What has the user come to do? And in the daily hustle bustle of things, we had forgotten to ask those questions. Like very basic question, right? We've built a course builder on which you can build your own pre-recorded courses. Is this person just starting out? He's never made a course before. Or if he had made a course, then he's probably shifting from some other platform. Nobody's coming to you with a pre-recorded course that has not been hosted anywhere else. That's just basic, right? So that sort of a fundamental question was not being asked before. We just built a course builder without thinking about where the customer is coming from a journey from. He's one of the reasons that the number one reason that we many a times when people are confused between products, they say we're gonna go with Kobe because the design is awesome. It is one of the reasons we've got great reviews on Google Play. It's one of the reasons that we won the award. And people when they try out our mobile app, they really see that it's been designed very carefully. So I think that is one learning that we kind of did. So right now we have a total of 20 people in the team. About 9 of those are interns and they're brilliant. I also saw this is, I think, another one of those learnings. We don't try to pay less to the interns. We've realized that, if you've got a batch of 100 people in the college, probably only the top 10 are the useful guys who are going to work better than full-time employees, right? So we try to match or give the best package possible because it's the best ROI activity that you can do. And these 9 people, they're complete superstars, and we've had a lot of help with them. So I think this is also another learning that hiring too many full-time people in the early days does not really make sense. If you can get 6-month interns, they are the best. Like right now, we only have 6-month interns. We pay them well, and they work completely like full-time people, and they can be relied upon. I think that's what it is like.
So yeah, that's super nice. Can you discuss about some of the instances where things were not going as per expected, or your hypothesis ended up being wrong in your journey, and you had to persevere and you had to motivate your team during that time? So can you dwell upon those kind of situations?
When things are not going according, I think 2022 was a big year in the sense we were about to raise some funding, and at the last moment, plans fell through. In March and April, in actually February, March, and April, we had spent a lot of money, largely in the hope that we're gonna show growth and we're gonna raise funding, etc. But when the funding winter arrived, we were completely caught lopsided, and we had to really sort of come back to the basic why we are doing this. I think one thing that is there, which I think this is something that I think 1 out of 100 funded entrepreneurs can say, which I think what Shashwat said to me. Shashwat was like, bro, it doesn't matter. Like, we had raised funds, we had hired everybody, whatever it is. If everything also goes now, we're gonna work here and we're going to do just enough sales to pay for food and we're gonna make it. I don't think I've spoken about this with a lot of companies that are shutting down. Once the funding dries up now, once the funds are completed, the founders believe that it is time to pack up, completely time to pack up. I think I've had the fortune of working with co-founders who believed that, funding was something that just came to make our lives a little easier. Entrepreneurs were born before it, and entrepreneurs will be born after it. So it is not what defines it. So I think that kind of gave me a lot of confidence to go out into the market and raise funds again, even in a funding winter. And I was successful. And now we have a long runway and touch this 1 million ARR and make this profitable in the next 3-4 months.
It's so nice to hear that, and I think it's a learning that having co-founders which you can trust, and second is who will not leave the ship when it's in trouble, because those are the situations if you actually pass through, then like there is a hockey
It's a
stick.
character, it's a character building exercise. It's a complete character building exercise. And also we've tried to do this very strongly. And even if we do, we sort of correct ourselves is never do finger pointing. Never blame anybody else in the team. Like, you have to understand that you're like a family, I don't know if family is the right word because it's being thrown around so wide, but you're like a tribe, right? A tribe protects everybody inside from the dangers outside. If the tribe starts pointing their spears at each other, na, then it's a dead thing. So we never ever try to, even if it is as simple as ki yaar, marketing to ye dekhta and marketing is fucked up. Like, we know marketing is fucked up and this guy does it, or product is fucked up and we know that this guy does it. Always in our conversations, we will usually be like, our product needs to improve, our marketing needs to improve. What can I do to make the product better? What can we do? I think it's the small things. And also, like, another thing that we exercise very strongly as part of our culture is praise in public and criticize personally, criticize in private. Basically, praise publicly and criticize privately. It is a very important part. Like, you will never see anybody in Kobe doing this, that, hey, why didn't you do this in front of a meeting of 4 or 5 people? Never happens, never will happen. Whoever does this will probably be fired. So, because we believe he praise publicly, criticize privately. And I think from the time that you're 2 co-founders, 3 co-founders, you should do this. You'll see this. Like, the investors will see this. The customers will see this. कि ये बंदा बोलता है ये बहुत अच्छा है, ये बंदा बोलता है ये बहुत अच्छा है. Like, they're both really in awe of each other. And then later you can go back and be like, you didn't do this thing right, or maybe and then you can calibrate. And that's, I think, one thing that I would want for more number of early teams to take up.
So currently, how many creators do you have in your platform?
I think we're close to about 250,000 creators. We've not spent anything into marketing for the last 6 months, and our revenues have been growing. So I think right now one of the major focuses of us is not on the free side, because we know that we can do very well on the free side. We want to prove that we can build a sophisticated, complex software as a service on a mobile phone and have people from India, Australia, US use it to grow their revenues. So we want to be a very serious player in this segment, and we don't want to be a very do it quick kind of a thing on the mobile app. So the mobile app is now becoming extremely sophisticated. The code base is becoming really, really big, and it's no more just a utility tool. Basically, it's now got a lot of things built in inside it. That, these days when a new release is there of the app, now when I have to check everything is working fine or not, it takes me 2 or 3 hours because there's so many things within the app that you can do. So it's becoming a more sophisticated player, and we are increasing our prices month on month, and we've not yet hit the ceiling. And now the sort of people that we are also onboarding are very different. Many of our creators have a marketing budget of 12.5 lakhs per month, right? We don't have those sort of marketing budgets. So many of those people, when they see that their marketing budget is getting better well spent because of our landing pages and our marketing funnels, then that gives us joy, and that is where we want to focus on.
True. So what kind of funding have you received and valuation? How did that valuation come so that our listeners can understand how does the valuation for your kind of business actually gets?
Valuation is a really, really tricky thing. I think it needs to be correctly called pricing, right? I don't think it's the valuation. It's just that, how much price is somebody willing to pay for your share? When the markets are in a bull run, you'll get $20 million valuation for the same share that will be costing you $4 million later. And it's just a representation of what you see in the public market. So far, we've raised about 5 CR. We're doing another round of $1 million right now, which is closing out. I can't really discuss the valuation on it, but we're closing another $1 million on that. And at this point, raising $1 million as a the revenues that we've made just in the last. So we started like from October onwards was the time that we really properly started monetization after our experiment was done. At this point of time, when we are discussing the valuation, it's largely got to do with the founder quality. Like right now, when investors spend this much amount of time with me, like they're doing right now, they are usually confident of me knowing what not to do and knowing exactly how I'm going to spend my budgets, how clear I am of what my ARPUs are going to be, and relying on this fact that this guy can scale the business to $1 million ARR by the end of this year. When we are looking to do a much larger round. So that's basically what it is like. I don't think there's a science to it. I think in the early days, what's best is that to agree to a convertible for your first pre-seed investment, you agree to the fact that we don't know the valuation of this company, and you have certain valuation caps, and you try to raise about 500K to $1 million. I think that is something that you can do, and you can do it from angel investors as well. My first round was the largest investor was Ankit Mehrotra, who's the CEO of Dynam. And I had just cold emailed him. No network, no nothing. So I just cold emailed a bunch of people. I still cold email a lot of people. Some people say that, why do you cold email? It's better to find a warm connect, etc. I kind of believe to hit them at every level. You find them in a conference, you meet them there, you find their email IDs, you email them, you find a warm connect, you do it. Because there's no like hustle, you cannot really replace hustle, right? You've got to do that. So yeah, that's basically about it. Rest, I think your pricing will increase if multiple investors are interested into your deal. Like right now, for our deal, there's a couple of investors that are interested to lead the round. So it becomes easier. But again, one of the reasons that investors are interested in putting money into us is because we're not desperate for the funding, right? We're very clear of our unit economics. We're very clear that we are making money on every sale that we make, and we've got a long runway. So I think this is also that negotiation is mostly like pricing negotiation or valuation negotiation is mostly a game of leverage.
Nice. I think the key pointers which I took from your evaluation, what may impact it is like one is the market. The market is a big thing that ends up governing it. Second is like whatever value you provide, what unit economics is, and the kind of business is it fundamentally strong or not, and founder's background and all those things, and if there are multiple investors who are actually interested in you, right? So yeah, that's nice. Last question is like, what's the vision that you are looking for building in Kobe?
So as of right now, there's about 50 million creators. These days, when you talk to, like if you talk about American kids or you talk about Indian kids, about 1 out of 4 kids say that they want to be a YouTuber or an Instagrammer or they want to have their own podcast, right? I believe that this is going to increase. When I go talk to my mom, I see her spending more time on YouTube than she does on TV. When I go to the chai wala shop, I see him watching YouTube videos all day long. Like if you ask him for a tea, he's just like gonna pour you some and get back to the YouTube watching. So I think what TV did in the 80s is what social media is going to do in the 20s. I think where attention goes is where commerce follows. Most of the businesses will become creator led. If you look at Sugar has expanded excessively. Like they recently touched 1 million subscribers on their YouTube, wherein they're talking about how to apply makeup and makeup videos, how to tutorials. I believe that, new brands that are getting started on Instagram will get started as Instagram accounts and later become businesses. And businesses which are old will try to leverage social media to get their business going. Now, my job is to build a bridge between subscriber and revenue and build tools for that. I truly believe in the creator economy to change the way people do business and the way that SMBs are there. Important thing about SMBs, small and medium businesses. Abhi tak all the SMBs were the chai wala shop, the pan wala shop, the people who are not technically savvy. But a creator is one of the most technically savvy people, right? So I now really believe that SMBs are going to get very, very powerful because they'll be able to leverage tools to fight the biggies. And they will have more trust than the biggies because they would be writing on creator, on social media, or on Instagram. Like, you know how creators basically, their beautiful thing is that they have trust, which many a times companies don't, right? So I think they're going to be really, really strong on the trust, and they're going to leverage this to build out some really, really big brands. And we hope to build tools which they can use in their fight of David versus the Goliath.
Nice. Thanks a lot for like going deep dive into all your journey. Like I think it's a very good learning experience for all our listeners here. Yeah, and thanks again.
Sure, Ankit. This was wonderful doing it. I hope you make many, many more, and I'll be watching you consistently because, as you rightly said, right, nobody deep dives into things, and the way that you're doing it makes a lot of sense.
सो आई होप आपको इनको सुन के मजा आया एंड मोर इम्पोर्टेंटली इनके जर्नी से आपको कुछ सीखने को मिला होगा. My team puts a lot of effort in getting such kind of content to you. So if you like this, please like, subscribe, and comment at least one thing that you learned from this.